Imagine standing in the pouring rain, clutching a suitcase, tears mixing with the cold. That was me, Emma Harper, 28, just yesterday. My parents called me a failure, a dreamer with no future, and threw me out of our home in Willow Creek. They said my passion for crafting jewelry was a childish fantasy, a waste of their time and mine. I was left with nothing but the clothes on my back and a broken heart, wondering how I'd survive. But the universe had other plans. That very night, as I shivered in despair, I checked a lottery ticket, a habit from my late grandma Evelyn. My hand shook as the numbers matched. $50 million. From homeless to millionaire in hours. The irony? The people who doubted me most had no idea. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was about to rewrite my entire life. This is the story of how losing everything became my greatest victory. Want to know how it all unfolded? Stick with me, because you won't believe what happened next in Willow Creek. Let me take you back to where it all began. I'm Emma Harper, raised in the quiet town of Willow Creek, where dreams were supposed to fit neatly into a box. My father, Robert, a meticulous accountant, believed success meant a corner office and a 401k. My mother, Diane, a hospital manager, preached structure and practical choices. To them, life was a checklist, and I was the odd one out. Ever since I was a kid, I'd spend hours crafting jewelry, stringing seashells, beads, anything I could find, creating beauty from scraps. My parents called it a cute hobby, but they expected me to outgrow it, to chase a business degree and a stable job. I tried to please them, but my heart was elsewhere. The only person who truly saw me was my grandma Evelyn. She'd slip me art books, pin my lopsided earrings to her Sunday dress, and say, "Emma, the world needs your light. Don't let anyone dim it." When I was 16, I won a school design contest for a necklace made of recycled glass. I was over the moon, but my parents didn't show up to the ceremony. "It's not a real achievement," they said. That stung, but Grandma Evelyn was there, clapping louder than anyone. At 21, she gave me her antique jewelry box, filled with tools and stones. "This is for your dreams," she whispered. That gift meant more than any diploma. After college, I took a soul-crushing job at Sterling Finance to keep the peace. By day, I crunched numbers. By night, I sketched designs and sold my jewelry at weekend craft fairs. My online shop started getting traction, small orders, 5-star reviews, but it wasn't enough to go full-time. Every Friday, Grandma Evelyn and I would meet at Daisy's Diner, sip coffee, and buy lottery tickets. "One for me, one for you," she'd wink. Dreams need a sprinkle of magic. When she passed away last year, I was shattered. She left me her lottery number book, with a note inside, "Keep playing, Emma. Be brave enough to be you." I kept our ritual, playing her numbers, holding her memory close. But at home, things were unraveling. Living with my parents at 28 to save money felt like walking on eggshells. Dinners turned into interrogations. "When are you getting a real job?" my mother would sigh. "Your little trinkets won't pay the bills," my father would add, his voice sharp. I'd share my growing sales, my boutique deals, but they'd brush it off. To them, success wasn't measured in passion or progress, it was dollars and titles. Even my brother Ethan, who used to have my back, started siding with them. "You're too old for this, Emma," he said one night, fork in hand. "Grow up." The tension built like a storm. I found a tiny apartment above a bookstore, a place to call my own. I dreamed of spreading out my tools, creating without judgment. I thought, maybe naively, that my parents would come around once they saw me succeed. Grandma Evelyn's voice echoed in my mind, "Spread your wings, Emma." But I had no idea how close I was to losing everything, or how one night would change my life forever. That night, everything I'd known crumbled. I stood in my childhood bedroom in Willow Creek, staring at the life I was about to lose. The argument had erupted like a volcano. I'd finally found the courage to tell my parents I was quitting my job at Sterling Finance to pursue my jewelry business full-time. I'd practiced my words, ready for their disapproval, but nothing prepared me for their rage. My father, Robert, slammed his fist on the table, his face red. "You're throwing away a real career for some childish trinkets," he shouted. My mother, Diane, was colder, her words like knives. "Emma, real artists don't need to quit their jobs. You're embarrassing us." I tried to explain, my sales were climbing, a boutique in town was carrying my pieces, but they wouldn't listen. Then I saw it, my sales report, pulled from my desk drawer, sitting on the counter. They'd been snooping. "You went through my things?" I asked, my voice shaking. My father didn't flinch. "When you live here, your business is ours." The betrayal cut deeper when I realized they'd read my diary, too, my private dreams, my fears, all laid bare. "You're not a child anymore," my mother said, defensive. "We needed to know what's wrong with you." I fought back tears. "They're not trinkets. And I'm not a child you can control." That's when my father delivered his ultimatum, his voice like steel. "Keep your job or get out. We won't fund your fantasies." Even my brother Ethan, who'd always been my ally, betrayed me. "Dad's right, Emma," he said quietly. "Sometimes different isn't practical." His words stung worse than my parents'. I made one last plea. "You taught me to work hard, to be independent. That's what I'm doing. Why can't you see it?" But my father shut me down. "Independence means paying your own way, not mooching off us while you play artist." I looked at my mother, hoping for softness, but she just said, "We want what's best for you." I snapped back, "No, you want what's easiest for you to understand." That was it. My father pointed to the stairs. "Pack your things. You're out by morning." I stumbled to my room, tears streaming down my face. The suitcase I packed was a gift from Grandma Evelyn, meant for adventures, not exile. Every item I chose felt like admitting defeat: practical clothes, essential jewelry, tools, a photo of me and Grandma Evelyn smiling at Daisy's diner. What I left behind felt like losing pieces of myself. As midnight crept closer, I sat on the floor, clutching her photo. "I won't give up," I whispered to her memory. "I promise." Outside, rain began to fall, heavy and relentless, as if the sky was grieving with me. The next morning, the rain hadn't stopped. I dragged my overstuffed suitcase downstairs, my parents watching like strangers. My father stood at the door, arms crossed. "Your phone stays on our plan until the month's end," he said, "all business. After that, you're on your own." My mother hovered, her face torn between worry and resolve. "You could still get that job interview," she offered, one last push to mold me into their vision. I said nothing, just stepped into the rain. My father's hand on my shoulder felt like a shove. "This is for your own good," he said as the door locked behind me. Just like that, I was homeless. With $300 in my wallet and a nearly maxed out credit card, I called my best friend, Sophie. "They kicked me out," I choked out, rain soaking my jacket. Sophie's voice cracked with anguish. "I'm at the airport for a conference." "Use my key, it's under the planter." Then I remembered, her apartment was flooded, uninhabitable. I tried other friends, but one was out of town, another had no space, and by the fifth call, rejection felt like a weight crushing me. So I walked, my suitcase rattling over cracked sidewalks, rain chilling me to the bone. After 40 minutes, I reached the Sunset Lodge, a flickering neon sign promising shelter. Clara, the owner, greeted me with kind eyes. "Rough day, sweetheart?" she asked. "You could say that," I replied, handing over $75 for a room. Through the thin walls, I heard her argue with her husband, Henry, about unpaid bills. Their struggle mirrored mine, and in that moment, I vowed, if I made it through, I'd help them. Exhausted, I collapsed into the motel bed, thinking this was rock bottom. But the universe was about to turn everything upside down. Rock bottom has a strange way of setting the stage for miracles. That night at the Sunset Lodge, I was a wreck, soaked from the rain, heart shattered, curled up in a scratchy motel bed. My parents had just thrown me out of our Willow Creek home, their words still burning. Your dreams are a fantasy, Emma. I had $300, a suitcase, and no plan. But something in me refused to break. I thought of Grandma Evelyn, her voice whispering, "Be brave enough to be you." Before collapsing into sleep, I remembered our Friday ritual, checking the lottery numbers. It was something we'd done together at Daisy's diner, her eyes twinkling as she'd say, "Dreams need a little magic." Even after she passed, I kept playing her numbers, a way to hold her close. So, in that dim motel room, I pulled out my phone and opened the lottery app. The screen flashed, "Congratulations. You've won." I blinked, thinking it was a glitch. My heart pounded as I grabbed the ticket from my purse, Grandma Evelyn's numbers, scribbled in her elegant handwriting. I compared them to the app, 08, 17, 23, 42, 54, 09. Every single number matched. $50 million. My hands shook so hard I dropped the phone. "This can't be real," I whispered to the empty room. I closed the app, reopened it, same result. I checked the official lottery website, my breath catching as the numbers stared back. $50 million, a lump sum of $20 million after taxes. The exact night my parents decided I was worthless, the universe declared I was worth millions. A hysterical laugh escaped me, then another, until I was cackling so loudly I startled myself. Suddenly, I screamed, a raw, joyful burst that echoed off the walls. Clara, the motel owner, knocked on my door, her voice worried. "You okay in there, sweetheart?" I flung open the door, tears streaming, and threw my arms around her. "I won," I sobbed. "Grandma Evelyn saved me." Clara's eyes widened as I babbled about the Powerball, the numbers, the jackpot. She guided me to the bed, her voice gentle. "Breathe, honey. This is big." Big? It was earth-shattering. Yesterday, I'd agonized over a $75 motel room. Now, I could buy the whole place. My mind raced, disbelief, joy, fear, all crashing together. I needed to be sure. With trembling fingers, I called the State Lottery Commission. A calm woman answered. "I think I won," I stammered, reading her the barcode. There was a pause, then her voice turned formal. "Miss Harper, you're holding the winning ticket for last night's drawing. Congratulations." I couldn't breathe. The room spun, and I put my head between my knees. "What do I do now?" I gasped. She explained the claim process, sign the ticket, consult a lawyer, set up a trust. I scribbled notes, terrified I'd forget it all. When the call ended, I sat frozen, staring at the ticket. $20 million after taxes. The irony wasn't lost on me, my parents' rejection had aligned perfectly with this cosmic gift. Grandma Evelyn's numbers weren't just luck, they were her final act of faith in me. Clara, still by my side, squeezed my hand. "Your grandma's watching over you," she said. Her words broke me, and I sobbed, years of doubt and pain pouring out. But beneath the tears, a clarity emerged. This wasn't just money, it was freedom. I knew what I had to do. "Clara, I need a lawyer and a financial advisor," I said, wiping my eyes. "And I'm staying here a few more nights to figure this out." She nodded. "Smart girl." Then an idea hit me, sparked by the argument I'd overheard about their unpaid bills. "How much to book every room in this motel for a week?" I asked. Clara's jaw dropped. "All 15 rooms?" "About $6,000. "Why?" I smiled. "To keep things private. And to help with those bills." Her eyes glistened. "You heard that?" I nodded. "I know what it's like to struggle." She hugged me, whispering, "You're a good soul, Emma." I asked her to keep my secret, especially from anyone asking about me. "My lips are sealed," she promised with a conspiratorial grin. Alone again, I stared at the lottery app, the numbers glowing like a beacon. $20 million. Grandma Evelyn's voice echoed, "Magic happens when you stay true to yourself." For the first time in days, I felt hope. My life wasn't over, it was just beginning. Winning $50 million was surreal, but it didn't magically fix my life. It gave me a choice: crumble under the weight of my parents' rejection or rise above it. I chose to rise. That morning at the Sunset Lodge in Willow Creek, I woke up a millionaire, but I was still the same Emma Harper, determined, stubborn, and ready to prove my worth. My first step was securing the money. I called Nathan Brooks, a financial advisor recommended by Clara, the motel owner. He was discreet, professional, and didn't blink when I showed up in rumpled clothes. "We'll set up a blind trust," he said, sliding paperwork across his desk. "It keeps your name out of the headlines." I signed a stack of documents, my hands still shaky from the shock. The lump sum, $20 million after taxes, felt like a lifeline, not just wealth. Nathan crafted a plan: 60% invested, taxes covered, and a few $100,000 liquid for immediate needs. A few $100,000. 2 days ago, I'd counted quarters for coffee. With my winnings safe, I turned to my dreams. I'd always wanted a space to create without judgment. I found a sleek apartment in downtown Willow Creek, high ceilings and city views, and paid a year's lease in cash. The real estate agent's eyes nearly popped out. Next, I poured my heart into my jewelry business, rebranding it as Evelyn's Craft in honor of my grandma. I designed a new collection: necklaces and rings with gemstones that shimmered like her spirit, each piece a tribute to her belief in me. I hired a photographer and web designer to build a stunning online store. Orders trickled in, and I felt alive, finally free to be the artist I'd always been. But freedom wasn't just about me. I'd overheard Clara and her husband, Henry, stressing over bills at the Sunset Lodge. Their kindness had been my anchor that awful night. So, I asked Nathan to anonymously pay off their motel's mortgage through the trust. When Clara got the news, she called me, voice trembling. "Some angel paid our debt, Emma. Can you believe it?" I smiled, keeping my secret. "You deserve it, Clara." Helping them felt better than any luxury I could buy. It was my quiet way of saying thank you to the universe, and to Grandma Evelyn, whose numbers had changed everything. I wasn't ready to face my family, but they found me first. A week later, I was grabbing a latte at Brewhaven when my brother Ethan spotted me. "Emma," he called, eyeing my new designer blouse and sleek watch, small gifts I'd allowed myself. He looked uncomfortable, shifting his coffee cup. "I've been trying to reach you. You changed your number." I nodded coolly. "New phone plan." He pressed on. "Mom and Dad are worried. They thought you'd come back after a day or two." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "They kicked me out in the rain, Ethan. Why would I crawl back?" He fidgeted, ashamed. "We overreacted. You look different." He gestured at my clothes. "What's going on?" I leaned back, letting him squirm. "I'm doing fine," I said. "Better than fine. The jewelry thing's working out, among other plans." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Did you get a new job or something?" I smirked. "Or something." He pushed for reconciliation. "Mom's a mess. Dad's worried, even if he won't say it." "Maybe if you apologized," I cut him off, my voice firm. "I'm not apologizing. They tried to force me into their mold. I'm done with that." Ethan sighed, but I saw a flicker of respect in his eyes. "Just think about calling them," he said. I stood, leaving my latte half finished. "Tell them I'm moving forward, not back." That encounter left me rattled, so I did something new. I hired Dr. Laura Bennett, a therapist I'd briefly seen in college. Over coffee, she listened as I poured out my whirlwind of emotions: joy, anger, fear of losing myself in the money. "This wealth gives you freedom," she said, "but healing comes from within. You can set boundaries without shutting people out." Her words stuck with me. I wasn't just rebuilding my life, I was redefining who I could trust, who I could forgive. The money had opened doors, but it was up to me to walk through them. And soon, I'd have to face the people who'd hurt me most. 3 weeks after my world turned upside down, I walked into my new apartment in Willow Creek to find my parents waiting in the lobby. My heart stopped. My mother, Diane, rushed forward, eyes wet with worry. "Emma, thank God," she said, reaching for me. My father, Robert, stood back, his gaze flickering over the marble floors and doorman who'd nodded at me. "How did you find me?" I asked, voice steady despite the storm inside. "Ethan followed you home," my mother admitted. "We had to know you were okay." Okay? I'd been homeless, and they hadn't cared until now. I took a breath, deciding. "Come up. We need to talk." In my apartment, with its high ceilings and city views, they stood speechless, like strangers in my new life. "This must cost a fortune," my father said, his accountant's mind ticking. $3,000 a month, I confirmed. "Paid a year in advance." My mother touched my cashmere sweater, brow furrowed. "Emma, are you in trouble?" I gestured for them to sit on the sofa while I took the armchair, claiming my space. "3 weeks ago, you kicked me out," I began, my voice calm but firm. That same night, something else happened. I pulled out the laminated lottery ticket, Grandma Evelyn's numbers, and handed it to my father. "What's this?" he asked, squinting. "The Powerball," I said. $50 million. $20 million after taxes. "The night you said I wasn't worth supporting." My mother gasped, hand to her mouth. My father's face cycled through shock, calculation, then a forced smile. "This is incredible, Emma," he said, reaching for me. I pulled back. "Is it? Because 3 weeks ago, you called my jewelry trinkets and my dreams a fantasy. You read my diary, pushed me out in the rain." My mother's eyes filled with tears. "We were trying to help," she insisted. "We thought you'd come back." I stood, anger flaring. "You thought scaring me would make me conform?" "I was alone, calling friends who couldn't help, sleeping in a motel because you left me with nothing." My father's voice softened, a salesman's tone. "We're sorry, sweetheart. We didn't mean for you to be homeless." I cut him off. Not sorry enough to look for me until Ethan said I was doing well. Not sorry enough to apologize until you saw this. I gestured to the apartment. Silence hung heavy, their guilt palpable. "What do you want, Emma?" my father asked, finally honest. I sat, voice steady. "I want you to admit what you did was wrong, not a mistake, but wrong. I want respect for my choices, my independence." "And my money?" "It's mine alone." My mother nodded quickly. "Of course it's yours." I raised an eyebrow. "You're already eyeing my sweater and rent." "Forgive me for doubting." Another silence, longer this time. "We're proud of you," my father said, but I wasn't sure he knew me enough to mean it. "I'll host a family dinner next Saturday," I said, standing. "Ethan's invited. We can talk more if you're ready to meet me as I am." They left, dazed, and I exhaled years of weight. The dinner was tense but civil. My mother brought a painting Grandma Evelyn had made, a quiet peace offering. My father asked about Evelyn's craft, stumbling but trying. Small steps, but real ones. I'd won more than money, I'd won myself. And the hardest part was still to come. A year after that rainy night in Willow Creek, I stood in my jewelry gallery, surrounded by the buzz of the grand opening for Evelyn's craft. My pieces sparkled under the lights, each one a piece of my heart, inspired by Grandma Evelyn's unwavering faith in me. Critics, clients, and friends filled the room, and my work now sold in galleries nationwide. The Margaret Wilson Foundation, named for her, had funded 30 young artists, giving them the chance I almost lost. The Sunset Lodge, where I'd found shelter, was now an artist's retreat, with Clara and Henry as partners, their struggles eased by my anonymous gift. Money changed my life, but not how you'd think. It wasn't the apartment or designer clothes, though I enjoyed those. It was the freedom to be me, to create without fear, to live without needing anyone's approval. My family changed, too. Thanksgiving at my apartment felt like home. My mother, Diane, brought her apple pie and started painting, finding her own spark. My father, Robert, asked about my designs without mentioning profit margins. Ethan, my brother, helped with the foundation, his new girlfriend, a painter, showing him a world beyond spreadsheets. They weren't perfect, but they were trying, and that was enough. Lucas, my partner, loved me for me, not my millions, laughing when I told him about the win. Explains the fancy dinners, he teased, but I still love our taco truck dates. The real win wasn't the 50 million, it was becoming myself. If you're stuck in someone else's version of your life, know this: you don't need a lottery to break free. Trust yourself even when no one else does. Use setbacks as fuel to rebuild stronger. Forgive, but set boundaries to protect your peace. And lift others up. Success means more when shared. Grandma Evelyn taught me that courage is the true jackpot. What's your dream worth fighting for? Drop it in the comments, hit like, and subscribe if this story moved you. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your path is yours, own it.